Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're looking at the 4 pillars of success from this Inspire Moment podcast that you sent over. I gotta say,
Okay.
I'm pretty intrigued already. It
Yeah.
seems like they're really focused on making success happen, not just like hoping to stumble onto it
Right.
and knowing how much you love learning.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be thrown up your alley.
Oh, it does seem like it's perfect for someone who's really trying
Yeah.
to shape their own journey. What's caught your attention so far?
Well, one thing that really jumped out at me was how they emphasize not just what you do,
Okay.
but also your belief in it
Right.
and even your love for it.
Interesting.
Like, how often do we hear about loving what you do to be successful?
Right.
And there's also this Einstein quote
Oh.
about the secret to success
Okay.
that I can't wait to dig into.
Those are some pretty intriguing nuggets
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Where should we start?
Let's start with pillar number 1, know what you're doing. All right.
Mhm.
Sounds pretty basic on
Yeah.
the surface.
Uh-huh.
But the podcast host compares it to
Okay.
setting sail with a map and compass.
Ah, so it's not just about having a vague idea of where you want to go.
Right.
It's about having that real clarity and
There we
purpose. Otherwise, you're just drifting around, hoping to bump into success.
Yeah, you're just hoping for luck.
Yeah, exactly.
And they tie this into the power of knowledge.
Okay.
The podcast host says, the more you know, the more you realize there is to learn. But don't let that stop you. Let it motivate you to keep growing.
That's interesting.
Makes you wonder how many of us are actually
Yeah.
taking the time to learn what we need to succeed.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just get caught up in doing the work.
Yeah.
But without that strong foundation of knowledge,
Right.
we're way more likely to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Or miss opportunities along the way. Think about it. If you were trying to build a house,
Yeah,
you wouldn't just start hammering away without blueprints, right?
definitely.
Right.
Speaking of foundations,
Okay.
let's move on to pillar number 2, which is believe in what you are doing.
Okay.
Now, this one might seem pretty quite explanatory,
Mm.
but I have a feeling there's more to it
Yeah.
than just like positive thinking.
I think you're right. The podcast makes a really clear distinction
Yeah.
between wishful thinking and true belief.
Mhm.
Wishful thinking is just hoping things will work out.
Right.
But true belief is something deeper.
Okay.
It's this deep-seated conviction that you can actually achieve what you set out to do. And they argue that it's this unwavering belief
Right.
that really fuels you, especially when things get tough.
So it's like that voice inside you
Yeah.
that says, I can handle this.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Exactly.
Even when you're facing doubts
Yeah.
and obstacles.
And this is where I think that Einstein quote comes in,
Oh, yeah.
when you mentioned before. He said, "The only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. If you believe you can, you will."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Right. It makes you really question
Yeah.
what self-imposed limits you might be carrying around without
Yeah.
even realizing it.
Okay, on to pillar number 3.
Okay.
This one's a bit more,
All right.
well, feel good, love what you were doing. I
Yeah.
think we all kind of intuitively know this is important.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear how the podcast breaks it down.
They really emphasize that loving what you do isn't just about,
Okay.
fleeting happiness. It's about long-term sustainability
Okay.
and avoiding burnout. When you genuinely love your work,
Mhm.
it energizes you instead of draining you.
So it's not just about having fun all the time.
Right.
Because let's be honest, every job has its
Yeah.
tedious moments.
Uh-huh.
It's more about that deeper connection to your work
Yeah.
that keeps you going even when things aren't easy.
Exactly. The podcast actually says this: success is not just about what you accomplish,
Okay.
but about how much you love the journey of getting there,
Mhm.
which I think is a crucial reminder. We often get so fixated on the end goal
Right.
that we forget to appreciate the process,
Yeah.
the learning, the growth that happens along the way.
This makes me think about people who maybe aren't thrilled with their current job.
Okay?
Is there a way to find that love
Yeah.
for what you do, even if you're not in your dream role yet?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think the podcast might suggest that it's about reframing your perspective.
Okay.
So maybe it's about finding ways to connect with the purpose behind your work,
Mm-hmm.
even if the tasks themselves aren't always super exciting.
Right.
Or maybe it's about identifying the skills that you're developing
Yeah.
that you can apply to something
Right.
that you're more passionate about later on.
All right. Ready to tackle pillar number 4.
Let's do it.
This one is all about grit. Never give up on what you are doing. I
Yeah.
think this one kind of speaks for itself,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure the podcast has some interesting insights to add.
Well, they emphasize that success rarely comes easy.
Right.
It really is about persistence and
Mhm.
resilience
Yep.
in the face of obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring up another great Einstein quote.
Ooh.
It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer.
So it's not necessarily about brilliance.
Right.
It's more about having that like stick-with-itness,
Yeah.
that willingness to keep pushing even when you hit those roadblocks.
Exactly. They argue that setbacks are inevitable,
Yeah.
but it's how we respond to them
Right.
that really determines our success.
Mm-hmm.
Do we just give up at the first sign of difficulty,
Yeah.
or do we use those challenges
Right.
as opportunities to learn, adapt, and come back stronger?
Makes you wonder how many times
Yeah.
you've given up on something too soon,
Yeah.
right before that breakthrough might have happened.
Right. It's a call to examine our own levels of resilience for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But wait, there's more.
What?
There are actually 4 more pillars to unpack.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like they doubled down on the 4 pillars.
Okay.
So we've got 8 in total to dive into.
All right. I am ready to delve into the next set.
Awesome. We'll be right back after a quick break
Okay.
to explore the rest of these 4 pillars of success. Stay with us. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle these next 4 pillars.
Okay.
What's up first?
Well, after all that talk about,
Yeah.
knitting, believing, and loving what you do,
Right.
pillar number 5 is all about action. Take action.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You could have the best map and compass in the world,
Right.
but if you don't actually set sail,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
But what does taking action actually look like in practice?
Well, the podcast host really emphasizes that it's about consistent effort,
Okay.
even when it's uncomfortable or challenging.
Right.
They use this great metaphor. Action is the bridge between your dreams and reality.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it really highlights that action is what turns those dreams into tangible results.
So it's about taking those first steps,
Yeah.
even if they're small,
Uh-huh.
and then building momentum from there.
Exactly. And what's interesting is they point out that action often creates motivation.
Oh, okay.
So the more you do, the more inspired you feel to keep going.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've got the knowledge, the belief, the
Uh-huh.
love, the persistence,
Right.
and now the action.
And now the action.
that's-
Pillar number 6 is a good one.
Okay.
Especially in today's world of instant gratification. Be patient.
Oh, yeah, patience is definitely a virtue.
Right.
But it seems like it's becoming increasingly rare these days.
It really does.
Why does the podcast emphasize it so much?
Well, they stress that success rarely happens overnight.
Okay.
It often requires time, dedication, and a willingness to persevere through setbacks and delays.
So it's about trusting the process and not getting discouraged when results don't appear immediately.
Exactly.
Okay.
They even make a distinction between being passive and being patient.
Interesting.
So it's not about just sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's about actively working towards your goals while understanding that some things just take time to develop.
There's a quote they've shared that I really like.
Okay.
Patience is not simply the ability to wait. It's how we behave while we're waiting.
Ooh, that's good.
I feel like that really highlights that patience is an active state of being,
Yeah.
not just a passive waiting game.
I completely agree. It's about maintaining that positive attitude, staying productive, continuing to learn and grow, even when things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like.
It's like that saying, enjoy the journey, not just the destination.
Precisely. All right, moving on to pillar number 7, which is all about adaptability. Be adaptable.
In today's ever-changing world, this one seems extra crucial.
It does.
But what exactly does it mean to be adaptable in the context of success?
Well, the podcast host emphasizes the importance of being flexible, open to new information, and willing to adjust your approach when circumstances demand it.
Makes sense.
They even use the phrase, the only constant is change, to highlight the fact that we're going to encounter unforeseen obstacles and opportunities.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about being able to pivot when things don't go according to plan.
Right.
And not getting stuck in rigid ways of thinking.
Exactly. And they even suggest that challenges should be embraced as opportunities for learning and growth.
Interesting.
Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, they encourage listeners to see them as chances to adapt, evolve, and become more resilient.
So it's all about having that growth mindset.
Yes.
Where you see obstacles as stepping stones rather than roadblocks.
Precisely. It's about understanding that the path to success is rarely linear. It often requires course correction along the way. And sometimes those detours can lead to unexpected discoveries.
Okay.
And even greater success than you initially envisioned.
All right, we're on the final pillar.
Okay.
Pillar number 8.
All right.
This one is a bit unexpected.
Okay.
Help others.
Interesting.
I'm really curious to hear how this fits into the framework of success.
It's an interesting addition, isn't it?
It is.
The podcast host emphasizes that true success goes beyond personal achievement.
Right.
It's about making a positive impact on the world around you.
So it's not just about what you achieve for yourself,
right,
but about how you contribute to something larger than yourself.
Exactly. They suggest that helping others can create a sense of purpose and fulfillment that goes beyond material success.
Right.
It's about using your talents and resources to make a difference in the lives of others.
I can definitely see how that would be deeply fulfilling.
Yeah.
And they even mention that helping others can often come back to benefit you in unexpected ways.
Absolutely. Whether it's through building meaningful connections, expanding your network, or simply feeling good about making a difference.
Right.
Contributing to the well-being of others can have a ripple effect that enhances your own life.
I love how they wrap up the discussion of this pillar with a thought-provoking question.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? It really challenges you to think about the impact you want to have on the world.
It does. So there you have it.
Yeah.
All 8 pillars from knowing what you're doing to helping others.
That was a journey.
What are your thoughts on this expanded framework for success?
I'm really struck by how holistic it is.
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving specific goals,
right,
but about developing like a resilient and fulfilling approach to life in general. What stands out to you?
What's fascinating to me is how these pillars resonate with the principles of personal growth and development that we see across various disciplines. The emphasis on self-awareness, belief, perseverance, adaptability, and contribution to something larger than oneself are like recurring themes in fields like psychology, philosophy, and even spirituality.
It's like they've tapped into something fundamental about human nature and the conditions that foster growth and fulfillment.
Exactly. And by adding those extra 4 pillars beyond the original 4, it really expands the definition of success beyond just career achievements.
Right. It reminds us that success is multifaceted and encompasses various aspects of life, including personal growth, relationships, contributions to society, and finding meaning and purpose beyond material gain.
I'm curious, though, what are your personal thoughts on those 8 pillars?
Well, you know what I find most compelling is that while the podcast presented these pillars in the context of achieving success, I think they could be applied to so much more than just career goals.
Interesting.
Take relationships, for example.
Oh, that's interesting. How do you see those pillars playing out in your realm of relationships?
Well, if you think about it, know what you're doing could mean understanding your own needs and expectations in a relationship, as well as those of your partner.
Right.
And believe in what you're doing could translate to having faith in the relationship itself, believing in your partner, and trusting in your ability to navigate challenges together.
Exactly. And love what you're doing seems pretty straightforward.
Right.
Nurturing that love and affection, finding joy in spending time together, and appreciating the unique qualities that each person brings to the relationship.
Never give up on what you are doing. Could mean committing to working through difficult times, communicating openly, and seeking solutions together rather than giving up at the first sign of trouble.
Taking action might involve actively expressing your love and appreciation, making an effort to spend quality time together, and being proactive in addressing issues as they arise.
Be patient could remind us that relationships take time to develop and deepen. It's about allowing space for growth, understanding that conflicts are inevitable, and having the patience to work through them constructively.
And be adaptable could encourage us to be flexible in our expectations, open to compromise, and willing to adjust our approach as the relationship evolves over time.
And finally, help others could extend beyond the relationship itself to encompass acts of service and kindness towards others, which can strengthen the bond between partners and create a positive ripple effect on the world around them.
It's amazing how these pillars, initially presented in the context of career success, can be so readily applied to building stronger and more fulfilling relationships.
It really speaks to the universality of these principles and their relevance to various aspects of human experience. Whether we're striving for professional success, personal growth,
Right.
or fulfilling relationships, these pillars provide a valuable framework for navigating the complexities of life and creating a more meaningful and impactful existence.
What a fantastic deep dive this has been.
It has been.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective
Me
of
too.
what it means to be successful,
Yeah.
not just in my career, but
Right.
in all areas of my life.
Absolutely. And it all starts with those 8 pillars.
Yes.
Knowing what you're doing, believing in it, loving it, never giving up, taking action, being patient, being adaptable, and helping others.
Those are definitely principles worth reflecting on,
Yeah.
integrating into our daily lives.
For sure. And, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder
Okay.
if these 8 pillars can be applied to achieving success in various aspects of life.
Right.
What would it look like to apply these principles
Yeah.
to something like personal well-being?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to save that for another deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the 8 pillars of success.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep learning,
Yeah.
keep growing,
Keep growing.
and keep striving to create a life that truly reflects your values and aspirations. Yeah, this is a great question. Applying these success pillars to personal well-being?
Yeah.
I'm already curious where this goes.
Let's start with know what you're doing.
Okay.
In the context of well-being, I think that could mean becoming aware of what truly nourishes you physically, mentally, and emotionally. What activities bring you joy?
Yeah.
What habits drain your energy? It's about understanding your own personal needs and values.
So like creating a personalized well-being blueprint.
Exactly.
Figuring out what actually makes you feel good and function at your best.
And then believe in what you are doing could be about trusting your intuition when it comes to your well-being, believing that you deserve to feel good, that you're capable of making healthy choices, and that you have the power to create positive change in your life.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yes.
Instead of feeling like you're at the mercy of your circumstances, you're actively choosing to prioritize your well-being.
Exactly. And this ties into love what you're doing, which in this context I think could be about finding joy in the practices that support your well-being. Whether it's cooking nutritious meals, spending time in nature, meditating, or connecting with loved ones. It's about making those activities a source of pleasure rather than a chore.
So it's not about forcing yourself to do things you hate just because they're quote-unquote good for you.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to genuinely enjoy
Exactly.
the journey of taking care of yourself.
And of course, never give up on what you are doing reminds us that the path to well-being isn't always linear. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments where you might feel like giving up. But it's about having the resilience to keep coming back to those practices that nourish you, even when it's difficult.
It's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you practice taking care of yourself, the stronger you become.
Exactly.
At weathering those inevitably ups and downs.
That's a great analogy. Now, taking action in terms of well-being could be about actively incorporating those healthy habits into your routine. Scheduling that yoga class, prepping those healthy meals, setting boundaries to protect your time and energy. It's about moving beyond intention and actually putting those practices into action.
Making self-care a non-negotiable part of your life.
Exactly.
Rather than something you just squeeze in when you have time.
And then be patient reminds us that well-being is a journey, not a destination. It's about allowing yourself the time and space to cultivate those habits and practices without expecting overnight transformations.
It's about trusting the process and celebrating those small wins along the way.
Absolutely. And speaking of adjusting our approach, be adaptable could mean being open to trying new things, experimenting with different well-being practices, and recognizing that what works for you might change over time.
So it's about being flexible and listening to your body's needs rather than sticking rigidly to a plan that might not be serving you anymore.
And finally, help others, which might seem a bit out of place in the context of personal well-being, could actually play a significant role. Studies have shown that acts of kindness and generosity can boost our own mood and well-being.
So by focusing on helping others, we can actually end up helping ourselves as well.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It's a win-win, and it ties back to that idea of contributing to something larger than ourselves. Which can give our lives more meaning and purpose.
Wow, this has been such an insightful exploration.
It has.
Who knew that a podcast about success could offer so much wisdom about personal well-being.
It's a testament to the power of these principles and their applicability across different areas of our lives.
Sure.
And I think it highlights the interconnectedness of our inner-outer worlds.
Okay.
That by cultivating well-being within ourselves, we can create a ripple effect that extends outwards.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Well,
thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey.
Yes, it's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Absolutely.
And are feeling inspired to apply these 8 pillars to your own life.
It's been a great discussion.
And remember, whether you're striving for professional success, personal growth, or simply a greater sense of well-being, it all starts with knowing what you're doing, believing in it, loving it, never giving up, taking action, being patient, being adaptable, and helping others.
Those are great takeaways.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to create a life that is both successful and deeply fulfilling. 5:30 p.